Hi, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the final episode of season 1 of Voice in Silence, which is, it's episode 25. And it had to be with a very, very special human being. But before that, I would like to begin with the quote, as I always do, which is, if you don't like the world the way it is, you have an obligation to change it. Just do it one step at a time. This was said by a person called Marianne Wright Edema. And I think Murphy encapsulates this quote like nobody else does. He's an agent of change, a full agent of change. And a little story behind how we met was about 12 years ago, 12 years ago.
11.
I was going through my divorce. I, in fact, got my divorce papers that day itself. That, okay, it's final after that whole reconciliation period that we have. And I was selected, and so was he, for a show called Trini and Susanna, India edition of their makeovers. Those were two ladies from Australia.
London.
Australia?
Because there's Mission Indian, Mission Australia.
Mission Australia, that's why I'm getting confused. They live in London, and they were giving us a makeover. That's when I met him for the first time in Connaught Place, and we did a co-tract walk in Film City, Noida. Oh my God, that was amazing. And that's when I was at the lowest point. Like, my son was 2. He was turning 2 years old. And I was right at rock bottom. But when you're at rock bottom, you look up. And I saw Murphy's face. That's who he means to me. And we've not been in touch. It's not like anything. It's just when I say Murphy's face, I don't mean, of course, that's his name, but the human being. And this human being was kindness. This human being, him, was purpose. I saw grit in him. I saw selflessness. I saw humility. I saw determination. I saw gratitude. And it's been 11 years, and all of that has only grown in this man. And what a human being. What a human being. I wanted to introduce his work to actually everybody when I was doing the ad for this, but I did not want to, because it will be best that if he talks about it, because you will see why have I given such a long introduction to him. And on that note, everybody, let's give a round of applause to Murphy. Thank you. Thank you.
Is this something you can find?
Murphy, thank you so much for coming. And let's begin. Give us a brief account. Brief or even a long one if you want to. Who are you, your childhood, and what have you been doing up to Ropio? I'll just say Ropio, but you will explain what it is. And up till then, maybe that'll be my first question. And I'll begin with.
Yeah, life story in like 2 minutes.
Take 10.
Alright, so I'm based out of Delhi, and I come from a beautiful big family where I have like one brother, but us cousins are like 12. So if anyone's seen that movie Cheaper by the Dozen, yeah, I think someone saw it. Us. I know there's a book by the same name. Maybe we just got reincarnated. I'll actually start arguing and then take it back. So when we met that time, the year 2012, I was a couple of years into having founded my own organization, where I was part of this whole movement of working and raising, growing children and youth. It was not something that I planned to do. It was not something that I'd aimed to become. It was something that found me. And once I realized that this is what I want to do in life, I've never looked back, despite all the hurdles and challenges. And I think what was amazing for me is that when I did come across this path of life, in hindsight, I can see everything from childhood, family, everything that led to that. You know, what is this big thing I'm talking about is basically what she said, Ropio. It stands for Reach Out and Pass It On, and NGO that started in the year 2010. Though the work in it started in 2008 itself, as I was finishing my graduation. My friends and I, we actually started just spending time with children on the streets. And how this started was because we were very, close and like thick friends, and we always spent a little, how college kids are. College comes jate hain, we're out with our friends more. And then we're all entering to our masters, entering to jobs. That phase had come where we might not get to see each other so often. So like, well, let's do something. So a few of us got together to start this thing where every Sunday we would, all those who are well versed in Delhi, this Connaught Place, and close by this place called Burda Farm. We call it like the holy place because you have the church, the Gurdwara, the Mandir, all of it is there. And prior to 2010, 2008, 9, it had a lot of street dwellers there. जहाँ पे भी एक holy place होगा वहाँ पे बहुत सारे street dwellers होंगे either they're begging or they're selling something and they live off the streets. So we would get their children together and take them to where the stadium podiums are. So Sundays it's closed. So it's like this mini amphitheater. We take them there, we just play with them, give them food, spend time with them. It was just a pastime. It was just a hobby, you can say. But I didn't realize how it just kept growing in me. And now, though I'm meeting these kids every Sunday, but the whole week we just go planning ki Sunday kya karna hai. You know, like खाने में क्या लेके जाना है. We saw always pitch in money and buy like this whole can of milk, रोज़ा मिला के उसको उबाल के फिर ठंडा करके all of that, and fruits or sandwiches. And we just go and initially start with games and just play time, and then dhire dhire start doing a lot of artwork, art and craft, memory games. Getting them to learn how to memorize things, be it names, be it calculations. And that's when I realized that this is what I want to do. I had already applied for masters. I had done English honors in college. I had already applied for masters. I even cleared, but I didn't take it up because I was too invested in this. Fast forwarding to now, in the past so many years, I went from working on the streets to working within the slum area to picking up a place where the children and we kind of all grew together. And of course it had its challenges, which I won't go into detail right now, but you can just imagine what it's like to be a person in your 20s who wants to rent out a place where there are going to be kids staying, studying, having, all of that. And
I'm just going to take a moment here. I've been there. Right after Trey and Susanna, I had come because he invited me. He's like, Anika, come. And I said, I'll come. And I wanted to experience who this person is. What is he doing, And I know what challenges he's talking about. It was, I'm forgetting the name of the place, but I'd come by Ramesh Chandra. So I'd gone within, I think, a month or two, I'd come. And I met those kids also. Then, of course, I'd invited them all for my birthday. They'd all come, and that was a privilege. I'm forgetting their names now, but yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy what this man was doing, and yet, we're smiling, yeah? While we were smiling, they taught me how to make a cake. I cannot forget that. I took the cake back home. I remember that and gave it to Arav. I was not married to Adi then. I was a single mother. So yeah, please continue.
And like how you mentioned that was a transition period in your life, it was similar for me actually, because where she came was this beautiful big place that we had found. But before that, so as I said, I was working in the slums. 2010, the slums got demolished. We were all in our 20s. I mean, maybe if you were in our 30s, the logical solution would be, okay, cater to their needs, help them out, sort them out, find a new slum. Practical, right? But what will a hot-headed 20-year-old do? You're like, nahi, main nahi choda. So, when the slums got demolished, it was the year 2010, 22nd, 23rd November, 2 days. They just pulled down the entire, there was a slum of about 600 households. And there was no warning or nothing given. All the juggies were pulled out. And 22nd November 2010 is winter's beginning.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're going to throw people on the streets to brave the cold. And as luck would have it, it rained that whole week. We guys, how many we were, my friends, volunteers, we were there every day helping the people kind of safeguard their belongings. So it was very role divided. The men were trying to make sure that unke ghar ke saman sab theek hai, nobody steals it off. The women were helping the men, the children were just around the women. So that 1 week, the kids and I literally begged the parents, inko maisa rehne do. And we would find night shelters wherever aspas, and every night I would take them and I would stay with them. We spent 1 week like that. And of course, people always come forward to help. That's the beauty of people, that when you need support, they come forward. That 1 week we ate at the Gurdwara Langar during lunches and dinners. We spent 2 nights in the basement of a school, St. Columbus. I studied from there, and at night it doubles up as a night shelter, the basement. So we stayed there. Of course, that was scary because, you have people who are street dwellers coming there, and literally it was like, okay, my kids are sleeping and nobody enters. Because it happens, right? Because these are the young kids and you're only going through this traumatic situation, and the people coming there, and you just, you don't know what to expect. Then there was the YMCA that kind of gave us some support for 2 days. So we, found places to stay that week. And then we decided, let's take up a place. And jitne bache ho sakte hain, let's, house them for like however long the parents need. Look at the story. No one in the right minds is going to let you do that. Right? Which parent will let their children just go and stay somewhere, it's 20-year-old? Which child will want to stay away from their parents? Which person will give
The children.
a place on rent to just a bunch of kids? But we didn't think logically, and so I guess it didn't work that way for us. What we wanted to do did happen. Okay, the parents of the children go with us. We hunted for a place, which took some time, but by December we did find a place. It is a very small, just a one-room set, where 25 kids and I, we just kind of moved in. It was because these are slightly older kids, like 14, 15 above.
And this is girls and boys, 25 kids.
There were boys, only one girl, and she would travel up and down.
Okay.
But the reason being that also because these kids, most of them were in the 10th, and this is a time when pre-boards existed. Up to nahi hai, but there were pre-boards back then, and they were inter boards, and they have no homes. So it was a makeshift idea. At least till the exams are done, till the parents find a place. We stayed like that. Can you imagine one room? The kitchen was itna, just one slab. Okay. None of this knew about the book. मतलब अगर सब्जी बना रहे हैं तो you can see basically पानी में आलू और मसाले ऐसे तैर रहे हैं. That's a big. The roti, the moment it came off the tawa, it was either leather or hard. कि ऐसे करो तो डूब जाएगा. And there was no functional loo. So every morning we would walk to the public convenience and come back.
And you would be doing that with the children?
Yeah, I stayed with them.
You were with them?
Yeah.
You've been with them?
Always.
Always, yeah.
So it was just a temporary thing. But then after the board exams were over, board by 10th boards, some of the parents had found places. We even filed a case against the whatever agencies had demolished. So that was also going on side by side. And it was time to now kind of wind up when the kids were like, nahin, we want to continue. March had come. It was really hot. We were up on the 3rd floor. So winters we still snuggled in, but it was really bad in the heat. We found a place in Patel Nagar where we spent the next 2 years here, and it became so from the slum model, it went to the center model where children come after school. So though now they're in different places, but the school was still in the same place where the slums were. Government schools function area-wise. So they would go there, come to me after school, we'll have lunch, we'll have classes, and then I'll give them money to travel back home. I think that system lasted for about less than 2 months, and the kids were like, yeah, हफ्ते में 3 दिन रुकना, जो हम घर जाते होमवर्क नहीं कर पाते, बहुत थके होते हैं, टेस्ट की तैयारी नहीं हो पाती, ऐसे रुकते फाइन 3 days. 3 दिन हो गया, 4 दिन हो गया, 5 दिन हो गया, पूरे हफ्ते हमने तुम्हारे घर वाले मुझे मार डालेंगे. घर जाओ. And literally that whole over the 2 years, I had these guys staying with me for those 2 years, going home once a week. And so what I say is that everything was not planned. It was all a part of evolution. I didn't plan to start this. It happened as a pastime. I didn't plan to go full-fledged into it. But when we started we were first on the streets near the Emporiums. We took a school, not took a school as in we asked the school to give permission to use their room because it started raining. So we had to get off the streets. So suddenly classroom to पढ़ाई लिखाई शुरू. बच्चे नहीं आ रहे तो बच्चे को ढूंढने के चक्कर में slums पता लग गया. तो फिर slums से shift हो गए. तुम नहीं आए तो हम वहाँ पे पहुँच जाएंगे. So slum model started. Slum got demolished, so center model started. So everything was a solution to a problem. Right. And then after 2 years in Patel Nagar, we shifted to Ramesh Nagar where it came. And here's the transition as I was saying, that when this Trinity Suicide Show happened, I had faced one of the first challenges of Ropey, which was facing almost bankruptcy. There was literally no money left in the bank. एंड आखिरी के कुछ 200 रुपये थे मेरी जेब में. This was 2011, and that story, if we have time later, I'll share it. But basically, if I'm going to a very low point, the beauty of that story is that when there was no money the last money went to rent. So I told the kids, okay, we have a place to stay for 1 more month. But after this, I don't know. And there was no money for food. This is when the kids, they started going back home after school, pack lunch and then come back. So we all would kind of share meals, So that पहले मैं खाना बना था, but now they're packing food wherever they stay. Mummy pack करके, so all the kids would get food from home. We were all, kind of. So that's how we managed 1 month because we had no money, and that's also the month where we got the biggest donation that we ever saw in life till now. Our monthly expenses were about 25,000, including rent and everything, and someone anonymously donated 1 lakh to us. So that kind of brought us back, and children were increasing. अब उनके भाई बहन आने लग गए. So I was like, okay, we're running out of place. And when we met was, at that time I was still in the old place, and when you came to the center, we had shifted to a new place. So if I'm going in from say about 50 to 60 square yards of a 2 BHK, we now shifted to a 150 square yards 3 BHK, and it was literally an answer to a lot of situation problems, because where we were staying पहले पढ़ने में, it was a very cramped up colony. तो first floor पे था, तो नीचे लोग, ऊपर लोग, दाएं बाएं लोग, and 25 बच्चे. तो you can imagine the kind of ruckus in that house. I would be catering to so many neighbor families. आपके बच्चों ने ये, आपके बच्चों ने वो, sorry. एक दिन मैं वापस आया, and they were like, these people came knocking at our door, like क्या हुआ, like रात को फुटबॉल बॉल जीता कमरे के अंदर. And I'm like, हाँ, कौन? Apparently our building is here. Besides the people here and opposite floors and each upper floors, there's also a building sitting to the back of it with floors, which I did not know existed. Yeah. So people from there came saying that, why could we hear football? I'm like, sorry. I opened the door, and I don't have to, actually. I have a football team and more. So it was, and then रात को, like after dinner, बर्तन धोते तो it was not like बर्तन धोना, just like मतलब कोई हाँ शोर मचा रहे क्यों धो रही है, like महाभारत हो रहा होगा वहाँ पे, तलवार लिए. So it was like that. So when and also in such a cramped area that if volunteers don't want to come, they couldn't get their vehicles. It was a very narrow lane. तो भाई बाहर पार्क करके पैदल आओ अंदर. So I used to pray कि भगवान न्यू प्लेस ना, ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे देना, बड़ा जगह देना, नो वाटर प्रॉब्लम्स, पार्किंग इश्यूज नहीं होनी चाहिए, नेबर्स से थोड़ा दूर रखो, like give me that kind of a space. And it was that. It was exactly that. You were on the main road. We were close to a bus station, a bus stop, and a metro station. We had ample parking space. There was enough space. If football खेलो, मार दो एक दूसरे को, कुछ नहीं पता लगने वाला. And that's when the wave came. So both of us actually were transitioning in our lives. Yeah. And the challenges that we were facing at that time. Coming back to now the childhood aspect, that when I look back to see that, okay, everyone in my friend circle have chosen paths, have followed something. When I look back, I can see so many numerous situations, experiences that went into forming a part of who I am, And the first clear memory I have of this shake within me is when I was about 10 years old. And I think 10, 13, maybe 30. In my entire family, as I said, we're a joint family. My dad has 2 other brothers and 3 sisters. So 6 of them have 12 of us. Very good at maths. And but my dad was never the academic sort. He's a very hardworking, very genuine person. Orthodox and narrow-minded also. But, like, dil se kaam karte hai, but was never very bright. His brothers and sisters were very, very good at studies. So they all finished their schooling, finished their college. Koi naval officer ban gaya, koi export pe kaam kar raha hai, someone's regional manager, India manager somewhere. Everyone's really well established. My dad is a 9 pass dropout who married an MSc maths teacher. But he was a very encouraging person. Like my mom tells me stories of how when she was pregnant with me, she was doing her B.Ed. When she was pregnant with my brother, she was doing her MSc. Like my dad always encouraged her, but you want to study, study. He would take her on a scooter and take her to her classes, pick her up, all of that. And so, very hardworking person, but not very accomplished. So we were, amongst all the families put together, we were last in line. You know, during the vacations, my cousins would go to other cities. We would go to our hometown, which is Kerala, to my nanny's place. As we grew older, they would go abroad. We started going to other cities, and then very, very few. But when we बहुत जाते थे, we would be left behind. पैसों की दिक्कत थी, you know, where if when they would ask us कि चलो साथ चलते हैं, I would say कि नहीं, we can't, we have something, but the truth is that we can't afford it. It was year 2000, hence 13 years old. It was like this very, very highlighting moment of my life because prior to that, my dad, my mom, my brother and me, we used to travel on a scooter. So being Christian, the Christmas mass happens at midnight. Okay, now you can imagine the year 2000, Delhi winters are cold. Ab to cold nahi hai.
Yeah,
Pehle, like the Delhi would have a fog which would last till Feb. Ki matlab haath yahan pe rakho to invisible ho gaya. And so in those peak winters, when we used to go to church at night and come back, I used to stand in front, of course, and ठंड के जैसे ऐसे आंसू निकल रहे ऐसे जम जाते थे. The year 2000, we bought our first car, a Maruti 800. I was so happy. And we went to the showroom and none of us, not even my parents, knew that we'd be coming back with a car. We thought we just want to get the down payment, and none of us knew the process ki kya hota hai, kaise hota hai. But lo and behold, here's a white Maruti 800 and you can drive it back home. Oh, guess what? Both of them know how to drive. And I'm too young and small. So there was this person that they sent who drove the car back. This was the month of January, okay? So I was so excited that they're coming back in our own car. Finally, everyone else has a car and we didn't, so I was so happy. I sat at the front. My mom and dad sat behind. And they're big, okay? Like, my mom's also very tall. She's like 5'8". My dad's my height. That's big. He used to be a bodybuilder in this time. But I to karenge nahi to kuch to karenge na. So he was one of those. And I looked behind and mom and dad and gaadi is over. I'm like, mera bhai kahan baithega? Like, there's no space anymore. The two of them filled up all the space with the jackets, of course, bullets and all. So I'm like, and I'm like sitting in front. And we're driving back home when we stop at a red light and their children who are begging, and there's this kid who's like distributing pamphlets and he's crying, okay, and he's just wearing a sweater, no shorts, nothing. This is the month of January in the year 2000. This kid I saw him giving pamphlets or whatever he was giving, magazine maybe, and asking, like selling it kind of thing. And I even saw someone ahead of me, like give back the pamphlets and give some money, which the kid did not take. But he was just crying. Now, I don't know why he was crying, but he was still doing what he was doing. From there till the way back home, I was just crying. Like, this sudden shift from being so ecstatic, like, दांत और दिखते तो बाहर आ जाते. Now I just, like, I'm so sad. I remember that when I look back, I think that one, maybe there are more, but this I remember as my turn, where I could understand that pain because I did not live it, but I was living my own. The comparison with my cousins and me and what they have and I did not have. And even my brother noticed this. He was not the brother. I noticed the different lifestyles. So both of us are polar opposites. Okay. This guy grew up saying, I'm going to earn. I don't give a damn about this work because nobody gave a damn about us. So I'm going to earn. He studied. He did his bachelor's, master's. Banda, he's got his own company in the US. He's a well-established businessman. He's very ambitious. Because he saw that when you don't have how difficult the world is, because we grew up with that struggle. And what I saw was that if we don't have this and it's so bad, how is it for those who don't even have this much?
God, yeah.
So both of us, I always say, are two sides of the same coin. We have been through the same shit. He says we'll always look in opposite directions.
What amazing, yeah. I know this, but every time you tell me, it just brings out something, and just this is what makes the world a beautiful place. It's because of people like you, Murphy. Seriously, I'm telling you in your eye and saying, I know we are friends, but it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
when we do this with our own friends, but I'm still telling you. Okay, thank you for that. Ropio was formed. I would like to now ask, because let's face it, all of us sitting here, I will talk on behalf of everybody, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are privileged, aren't we? We are sitting in an AC environment right now. And I think I agree with you. One day when I'll talk, I'll also tell, maybe my shift was, you've never told me this, Mochi. This is the first time I've heard of this story, by the way. We've never spoken about this. But one day when I'll speak, it's very similar to my go on the throat, the crying. But out of body experience I had just now. But my point is that this privileged life that we live in, and supremely privileged it is, and we complain a lot. I'm talking about myself. I'll only talk about myself. Complaining at AC chala gaya, ye nahi chal raha, wo nahi chal raha. Let's now look at the other side, and my questions to you will be, while you were running Ropio, now let's forget about everything else, and I want to understand, and so would we like to understand, what were the challenges that you faced? And I will run through a little points, if you can remember, otherwise I'll remind you, in terms of the children themselves, their parents, government, bureaucracy, if there was any, आसपास के लोग, your own thought process, your family. In these, if you can tell us the challenges, what happens? ये आप जो कहानी सुना रहे हो, sounding very manohar right now, but the point is, you must have been through hell and back doing this. I know you like it. It's not easy. Murphy, it's not, it doesn't even start to be the E of easy. I've seen it one day. So, and you've run it for like more than a decade. So, please make us understand that if somebody wants to go on this path, what are the challenges that are coming their way in those aspects?
Okay, I'd like to start this by saying this one thing, that challenges are not what we think they are. It's individual to each one of us, you know. So somewhere it is, whatever's challenging to you is something that's something that you need to work on. Because when, like for example, going back to the story where the demolition happened, stayed in night shelters, took up a point base, example, you become nahi kar raha. Let's draw the comparison to, like what you're saying, what the privileged lifestyle, where we have a house, we have function. Like, I came from a family where we have a good home, we have our own rooms, you know, we have a good washroom, food is cooked for us. Everyone thought कि मतलब, how are you living in such conditions? तुम जमीन पे कैसे सो रहे हो? तुम ऐसा खाना कैसे खा पा रहे हो? How you be able to go? But these were never challenges for me. I never actually even thought of this whole shift of or adjustment I had to make, because I never felt I was adjusting. Yes, it is true, physically and literally and in real aspect, that from having my own bedroom and my own bed, I'm now sleeping on the ground with like 20 people around me. From having a cupboard where I can put my clothes, there's just this pile of clothes, अबे सबके कपड़े बच्चे मेरे सारे ऐसे मिक्स हो रखे हैं. But I never saw that as an adjustment. Yeah, I'm trying to adjust, I have to adjust to this, and hence it was never a challenge. It just came, right? The only challenges at that time were, okay, it's raining, we found a school. Oh, children are coming, so we found a slum. Slum got demolished, we took up a place. These were situations, but they all led to the growth of this organization. Once this center now is established, and I had to build on processes. Funny part, when I started, I didn't even know what NGOs. And I've always been involved in volunteer work in social services, but as a person, never understood the theories of it. So even when I started, I did not know what an NGO was. जब लोग आके कहने लगे कि अच्छा certificate मिलेगा if you volunteer, या अगर donation देंगे तो receipt मिलेगा. I still remember someone said कि if I give money will I get a receipt, and my head thinking, I'm not a shop. I thought only shops give receipts. So that's when I went and I went online. I started to keep NGO hota kya hai, how do you, and then we registered it, formed it. I'll come to that later to answer the question, ki how do you go about it? But we did all of that. And then of course, when this center you came to us established, the entire process is ki how are we dealing with it? Till now it was very organic. Ki jo zarurat hai wo pura kar rahe hai. However, that also I think the key that you identify the need. When we're in the slums, it's not like chalo English, math, science karte hai. We spend time with them. The key factor was spending time with them. And when you spend time with them, you understand what
your needs.
Yeah. So we had art classes, music classes, dance, sports. We had everything, not because we had to, but because we wanted to, because they wanted to.
We want it.
And a key factor of Rubio was that the decisions and planning was not done by me and adults who were saying planning and conceptualizing. It was a discussion that the kids and I used to have. Even when, for example, when the demolition happened, I had behind a place, I asked the kids, yaar, ऐसे कुछ सोच रहा हो, हाँ करते. Then as a time I think you should go, guys go back. नहीं करते. Let's continue. But जगह नहीं है, नहीं कुछ सोचो, कुछ ऐसे ही चलना है, ठीक है. When you got a bigger place, like everything from how the classes or what kind of classes, what should we do, when should we do it, is all part of, because you're living together like a family. So चलो बात, like it's all in talks कि यार ये भी जो होना चाहिए, ऐसे करते हैं वैसे करते हैं. They became, they and I, we all were
One.
together in that decision making and plan. And it became, once it happened, it became part of our system. कि okay, summers are coming, what should we do? Art and craft तो है ही, ठीक है, music और dance भी है. भैया इस बार ना मतलब like instruments का गिटार सीखना है.
Cooking के
कुकिंग तो वैसे ही चल रहा था. वो जो नदियाँ थी, मसाले और आलू के, had to transform into good food. Someday to the other.
Baking.
And parkour, matlab, whatever the kids said. So I realized that my mode of operation, everyone is talented, everyone is skilled, everyone has potential. All they need are opportunities. Yes. My role, you tell me what you want, I'll find the opportunities. My role, you grow how you want to grow. You be what you want to be without thinking of how can I do that. That is my idea. Because बच्चों से पूछो क्या इंजीनियर बनेंगे, सरकारी, in slums especially there's this whole pressure कि सरकारी नौकरी मिलना है. We were pressurized कि डॉक्टर, लॉयर, इंजीनियर बनो. They are forced to become a government
Stability.
It's because of security, yeah.
Stability. Yeah.
Because you'll get money for not doing work.
Yeah.
And you will get also the security, and we can live a comfortable life. And so the whole breaking. So here's a challenge for the children, which is getting to know them, understand what they need, break or unlearn old notions, and encourage what's in their minds. Wow. That I think you're able to do quite successfully, because in today's day and age, so my first batch of kids are like 27, 28 years old. Don't forget, I started when I was very young. And and of that batch, one is, she manages a dance studio. She's part of a huge team of choreographers, and they have their own dance academy, and she manages the West Study Center. And she's a kick-ass dancer.
Isn't that amazing? Amazing.
And in the same batch, there's a guy who is a manager in, I think, HDFC Bank. Another one's a UX designer. I didn't even know UX designers when I was growing up. I don't think it existed also. One of the next batches, he went to this place, IHM.
Lucknow.
Institute of Hotel Management in
Lucknow.
No, he wanted to get out of the city. He's like, "Mujhe Delhi chahiye nahi." Very similar to you.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "I want to go to IHM." And background, this kid, he was always this, not bully, I would say, but yeah, he was like the ringleader in his gang. Okay, so he was always good guy, but he had the part to like sway people, which he still does, but in a much better way. I remember he saying, "Mujhe engineer banna hai." I go, "We spell it." He stopped at A. Then that I didn't stop at A. And I still remember when he turned 18.
Stopped at A.
And when he turned 18, if he ever watches this, he would have slapped me.
इतना सीक्रेट तो बता दिया वहां पर जाके
He turned 18 and he still was atrocious with his spelling. So I was like, 18 का spelling बता दे.
We start with A there.
He didn't start with A. But I don't even know what letters he used in the middle. So I
H से start किया.
नहीं इतना तो आता है यार. This guy today most probably has read more books than I have. Somehow he found his world in reading, which is a challenge that so many parents have it in. Padle.
I do.
He took to it, and because he can influence, so because of him, other kids also got influenced. And sometimes he comes to me and says, "Oh, have you read this book?" And I'm like, "What?" So he finished his degree or diploma actually in IHM, and then which is in Shillong. He always wanted to go to a mountain, so he got Shillong. He went running there, discovered his traveler self. So every year he'll do a solo trip to some bahar somewhere. And right now he's working with this high-end baker, doing customized cakes. I think they're called Sugar Daddy Bakes, and they make beautiful customized cakes. And the decoration's exquisite. So he's working there now, and he's very smart. So there's a dancer, there's a baker, there's a baker. Point is that you be whom you want to be. Because usually organizations tend to, or even schools or families, they tend to lead children in a certain direction. कहते हैं ना कि लॉयर के बच्चे लॉयर बन जाते हैं, डॉक्टर बच्चे डॉक्टर बन. So yeah, the whole point was be what you want to be.
So I know you said that challenges. Okay, I took your point there, and you had your own. It is a very frivolous question, but I'm going to ask you nevertheless, because, and again, Murphy, I keep emphasizing on this point that there are all types of people that are going to watch this. So maybe this question may arise, which is why I'm kind of assuming in my head that somebody might ask this question. Did you ever, in your 10 years, 11 years, now the 20th year, no, 20th year, since whatever, you've been doing this forever, right? Forever, since you graduated. That's all you've done. So all these years, was there ever a moment where you yearned for the so-called comfort? यार हो गया, इतना टाइम तो दे दिया मैंने, अब थक गया. It's a frivolous question, I know.
No, it's not still asking. And it's like it has two parts. Thakna, yes. For comfort, no.
Let me rephrase then. Yeah, that may have come across like that. No, what I mean is, not thakna ki give up, not that thakna कि मुझे भी comfort चाहिए यार. Like, let's face it, we are living in a world where you are visually seeing comforts around you, and अब तो बढ़ते ही जा रहे हैं मतलब. वो कभी नहीं लगा कि यार काश, and you saying that your brother.
Oh, we have that.
Right?
I stay shop in SN, even not go beyond a brand.
है ना? I say no, yes. I love shopping off the street. I don't understand why is anybody anything above 200 rupees. I swear, because I don't understand.
I take 2,000-3,000 bucks. I'll go to SN. My entire year's shopping is done, and the girl come out with like one of the t-shirts with that same amount. Like,
ask my husband. I tell him, please give me 15,000 for the year. I will buy it. And ये तो कैसा है? Same t-shirt, same. So I get that. But my point is, कभी नहीं लगा फिर भी कि ये comfortable है.
Because I'll tell you, people, it's the same notion as challenges. It's individualistic. So the definition of comfort is also individualistic. I realized that I'm a pack animal. My comfort isn't with people. So if I'm with my people, it doesn't matter what I am.
So that means there is a very high level of, there has been a very high level of self-awareness, which you only fine-tuned more and.
You can say that.
More and. So it's gone inward, which is spreading outward.
I mean, it's like, basically boils down to who defines what for you.
Yes.
So when you talk about comfort, if everyone understood over here this, then is that your definition of comfort, or is it what a society has
exactly
inbuilt in you?
That's what I'm saying. Self-awareness then is where you are able to differentiate between the two. That what voice is this? Is this society wala voice or mera voice?
Hence, never having a challenge to adjust.
Yes.
Because
point now proved. Hence to. Let's come.
So coming back to the challenges aspect, so बच्चों के साथ was the same challenge that any one of you have faced with growing children, from where they're young and they just love sticking to you, to where they're teenagers and they just want to like fight you and rebel you, to finally come to that young adult or adult phase चलने का हम बच्चे में बेवकूफ थे हम इसमें nice. And when they are like mentoring younger ones, because that's what reach out and pass on meant, that you don't stop it at you.
Wait for.
Don't, like, you should never be at that place where it's about taking. Whatever you're receiving, you have to pass it on.
Yeah.
You know? And
That is a full form of Propio, by the way. Reach on.
reach out.
Reach out and pass it on. That's what it is.
And that became our way of functioning. So as children grew older, it became natural in them, which with my first path was kind of planned and organized. It became natural the younger ones to follow that pattern. Once we are of a certain age, we have to start doing this. We start taking care of young kids. We start taking classes. When there are no volunteers, because volunteers are seasonal, we will teach young kids and stuff like that. So, so when they were like taking care of the younger ones, hey, bhaiya, इनको ना ऐसे, I'm like, you don't say.
अभी समझ आ रहा है तुम?
Exactly.
बचपन याद आ रहा है तुमको अभी?
मुझे याद आ रहा है।
Thank you for your
अरे भैया हम तो ऐसे नहीं थे हम लोग।
हाँ, दिखाओ तुम्हें photos, videos दिखाओ।
And even now we have a group, okay, and they keep on sharing these videos, which we kind of stay together, we eat together. So sometimes we get donations of fruits or trees or something. They're all nicking, okay. So there are videos which now 10 years later they share in the group. कि भैया ये देखो, अब ज़रा चल पा रहा है। So stuff like that. Other challenges were, of course, functional challenges. With every organization, there's always challenge of money. I was, for the longest time, the only full-time person. It was a completely volunteer based on, and the like beauty of this place is it was completely volunteer run. And our volunteers, once people just came and left, there were those kinds too. But it was always this place where you can come and just be a part of whatever is happening. So it's not like, okay, if I come, what do I do? I don't really teach. No, you do what you do, tell me what you're good at, and we figure out where we can place it. And then as they spend more and more time, they would be like, okay, let's do this. And they had that comfort very naturally ki, okay, let's do this. Not ki acha jaake permission lena padega, kuch padega. Of course, we would discuss. They always come to me, but they came with that confidence ki, let's try and do this one, let's do it this way. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So it was always volunteer art, which was a great strength. And it also had its low points when there were no volunteers. And hence the whole in-house volunteers of the older ones teaching also really helped.
Which actually then built them
as individuals, exactly.
ahead.
And as I said, like funding was always a major challenge because, okay, I'm good with people. I hate accounts and like numbers, things like that. But ab karna pad raha hai. So that was always a challenging task to not just raise money, but also like keeping the records, going by the book. Like now, spending and keeping bills is easy, but making the decision of how much to spend and how to put in your books and you know, like the whole banking system.
Yeah.
So that's
a big challenge.
Yeah, which I think every organization faces.
Would have. Yeah.
When it came to government, of course, it was hard. Matlab, when I learned how to start an organization and how to register it, that process did not take very long. It was systematically managed fine. To be an NGO, you need to have these two licenses, 12A and ADG, which basically 12A recognizes you as a charity organization and ADG allows donors to get a tax benefit. We didn't have this for the first 4 years. So for the first 4 years, whatever money was coming was not people donating because they get tax benefit. This is people donating out of their goodwill and not getting anything in return. Because we were registered as an organization as a trust, but we were not authorized to give them tax with the receipt. Yeah, and we did lose a lot of funding because of that. But it was part of the journey, and the first big challenge was getting these licenses because boy, these income tax officers can ask for money in all sorts of bills.
Yeah.
It took us a long time to find the right kind of CA to help us out, and we found a beautiful guy who really, who was up there and he did pro bono. He helped us out the whole thing. I know organizations that have got these licenses in like 2 weeks. What took us years, and especially the last period when we finally got an entry into the office, and we had this officer who was like, "Okay, give us your doc." So we gave what was asked. Acha, ये सब भी चाहिए. And he would give us a date for 2 months. Like 2 महीने के बाद ये सब लेके आओ. 2 months we would like spend. We would get all the documents he needs, all the proofs. which varied from say the accounts of the past X number of years. वो तो पहले से था. The balance sheets, your registration certificate. These are the formal things. Okay, proof of the children. So activity reports, photographs of activities, ठीक है.
And their birth certificates and all that.
Not birth certificates. Just
Don't ask for all that. Their identity.
no, not for identity.
Achha.
And remember that Aadhaar came in I think only 2010.
हाँ नहीं but ration.
See, first of all, a lot of people slums also don't have documentation.
हाँ correct.
But they didn't ask for that. They need proof. So just like how you have your admission form.
अच्छा.
A photograph with details and signature parents. Okay. And then this pattern went on for a year. He would go with everything they asked. अच्छा ये भी चाहिए, ये भी दो, ये भी लाओ. 2 महीने के बाद फिर से डेट आया. लेके गए. अच्छा ये भी लाओ. वरना नहीं एक ही बार बोलता ना. Like what is this बार. Like saying one to what you want.
Yeah. That can be irritating.
But we did it. And the best part of everything has a pro and con. The best part of this was that now we have this 300, 400, 500 page document of all our work in the past. Look. And your question is the smallest things. Sometimes stupid questions also. But because we were doing everything, so I had the answers for all those questions. It's not like I had to think. It was like,
Obviously, you were the captain.
and
So to the cousin चलेगा.
And like I remember once he said, "अच्छा खाना भी like the gas पे यहाँ पे खर्चा क्यों है?" I know this guy's gone through every document I've given because he's trying to find a way to catch us. अच्छा खाना इनको खाना like इनका खाना he said gas का खर्चा क्यों है gas cylinder? खाना अब हमें नहीं बनता मतलब I need to cook ना. अच्छा खाना ही बनाते हो? I know he's right. like हाँ ठीक है. Fast forward a few months. अरे आपके तो एक्टिविटीज में मतलब आप तो बिग स्टॉल पे लगाते हो ये इतना सब कुछ करते हो. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, so you do hear what I give you. I'm asked stupid questions. So then, one day he was like, I think I don't know, there were a few instances. I was a very determined, also naive-ish person. So a lot of cues I didn't get, which I would get today, I didn't get back then, which kind of worked in my favor. Because he was like, अच्छा इतना सब कुछ करते हो बच्चों के लिए. Okay. So he was like, मेरे भी तो बच्चे हैं. Okay. हाँ तो मेरे भी तो बच्चे हैं.
Yeah, what?
This is his way of asking for
Money.
something,
What?
Yeah, right. Basically, like, I also have 2 kids. What can you do to take care of me kind of a thing. हमारे भी कर सकते हैं.
तो उसको दिख नहीं रहा है कि यहाँ तो वैसे ही बहुत challenges है तो इसको शर्म उल्टा नहीं बोलना चाहिए कि मैं क्या करूँ आपके लिए.
No, so he was like, मेरे भी तो बच्चे. I'm not getting this, okay? And my friends with me who has with accounts and he's like quiet because he's understood that this guy is like,
Means our friends, I swear.
No, he was quiet because he did not know how to respond. Of course, I'm naive. Thank God. So he was like, तुम मेरे भी तो बच्चे हैं, मेरे भी बच्चे हैं. That time I told him, हाँ तो मेरे 25 बच्चे हैं यार.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to say? You want to exchange notes? So he was,
Yeah.
and my friend was like trying to stifle his laughing. He was like, still like that. And if he exited the office, he was like, dude, he was like to ask for money.
What he meant.
And I was like, hey, really? He was like, yeah, but though what you said was very apt, but he was asking for money. And I don't know what to say to counter this. I'm like, oh, okay.
We did that point noted.
And then finally, when we now know that we're going to get this license, he's like, अब तो काम हो गया.
अब थोड़ा खर्चा पानी.
अब तो मुंह मीठा कर दो. I'm like, what do you want? You know I bake. Say I'll bake it for you. So my friend, so my friend said, he even cooks also. Come for lunch. We'll feed you. We feed you also. And नहीं, आप तो West Delhi में हो, हम तो East Delhi में हैं. So I have a car, my friend said. I'll pick you up. You and your 2 kids, and we take them to his place, and we cook for you. So like we took that conversation that way. After that, my friend was like, I'm going to take this cue forward of yours. Take the story, take it up. So those were the initial challenges. And then, of course, there were other challenges from the documentation aspect to these back aspects. These are normal. I think these are procedural things.
But I will move a little bit forward. Because actually we have covered everything. I want to quickly touch upon what happened during COVID. Because that was again kind of a turning point that we can touch briefly, because after that I want to understand those things.
So
that
I'll wrap up this last part.
COVID and the COVID phase. Yeah.
I'll wrap up with that as or somewhere in the middle. Let's see. When she asked me about the challenges, of course, these were procedural because also you said, okay, if someone wants to do it, I'll come to it like maybe on a one-on-one or something. But I'll tell you what kept us steady was always the power of people. My children got a great strength. So even when I was facing challenges from other factors, that strength is always there. My friends were a very strong pillar. They supported in every which way possible. So when we were young and we were nobodies, they supported with time and with effort. As we grew older, they supported with networks and links. As they grew older, they supported with money. And going back to my family, it's amazing to be about such a big family, especially where we're very all different. Okay, well, we can really pull each other's hair apart. I'm sure for every Indian family, but we're also very strong together. And when I took this path, yes, they were very concerned. They're like, what are you going to do with your life and all that jazz? But they never stopped me. And I use this term that they allowed me. It's not like, because I never had to put up a fight. I don't know what I would have done. Would I have fought and left them, or I don't know, because I never had to face the situation. And throughout this journey, my mom's a teacher, so a lot of support of school books and stuff came from her. My dad, as I said, he's one of those dedicated workers. I'm very bad at what things men do at home. Like people of the generation, कुछ खराब नहीं किया, पता है ये वायर ठीक करो, प्लम्बिंग ठीक करो. They have that notion कि यार बाहर से चीजें मतलब पैसे वेस्ट जाएंगे, खुद से. He's tried so hard to teach me how motor functions. Not my cup of tea, dude. And how are we going to do this when you grow older? And here's the fun part. When I grew older, and I had kids. They knew it.
So you felt like the odd man out, then yeah.
No. I was like, see, there's always an answer.
Finish it.
When I was at home, you did it. Now and they do it. I do it.
I don't need to.
And whenever there was something that was beyond us, like them and me, Papa, acha ye kharab ho gaya. And then my daddy come with his tools. That's why I tell you should know how to do this. And he's fixing on it.
That's massive support at this. That's awesome.
So he's always been there, All my entire family has always been there. And I don't think without this kind of support, we would be able to build up. Without having a steady stream of inflow of money, without having a permanent staff, without, not knowing where we're going to be. But just that the determination of being together was so strong. As lovely as this story is, we shut down the year 2020 when COVID happened. That's what she said from the turning point. One of the primary reasons being, of course, when the lockdown happened, we did not know how long it's going to go on. Because after every 2 weeks, we get extended.
Yeah.
The first year of COVID was a year of fear. Everyone was afraid of dying. Second year, when people were actually dying, there was very little fear. Ulta ho gaya. Yeah. So in that first year, when nobody's allowed to even move a muscle, children coming from the slums and into your place, and I had taken up a place right next to slum area, so it was nearby, so they can easily come and walk, but it was safe enough distance for them to be away from the kind of environment. So there were issues with the neighbors. Everyone felt a little angsty कि ये बच्चे अंदर बाहर जा रहे हैं. Everyone thought like that notion कि मतलब बीमारी फैलेंगे. Guess what? This is a top-down disease, dude.
Yeah.
We scare the people coming in flights, not the ones living on the streets.
Yeah.
So, but
Can't help people's thought processes.
So much so that even about 8 times I managed to smuggle in, and we feel like, okay, we'll go barricade ourselves and we'll work and we'll try to figure out some online things for kids. We were trying. But by the time Ramesh Nagar happened, and when we were there for 7 years, now the house is not 25 kids anymore. Now there's like some 60-70 kids. And so all these 8-10 kids who were with me during this COVID year or these few months, you can imagine for them to be surrounded by so many children. Now suddenly there's just few of them. They'll get bored. They'll get antsy. They'll get restless. They want to go back to their parents. All that is there. And the world is changing suddenly. You don't know how to deal with it. And so, at the same time, now the government plays a beautiful role. The laws regarding NGOs started changing. And I know with what great difficulty I got my licenses. And now this rule came up that you have to reapply. All organizations' licenses will be suspended and you have to reapply for all. And no matter where in India you are, you have to open an account with the SBI in Parliament Street.
That's ridiculous.
And when the accounting system became automated, we always filed for our taxes, and we got the idea. This is the transition phase where I think we did fight for our idea. On the online system, we were, I think, late by a day. However, the files did go, and we did receive the idea as well. So it's been, the whole process is
complete.
Yeah. But because this got flagged, we got a fine of 2 lakhs by the government for not filing idea. And I'm like,
ये क्या है?
but मेरे हाथ में है. Like, hello, I had the idea, you gave it to me. And this happened in the COVID year. And there's this deadline, if you don't pay by this time, this is what happened. I'm like, yaar. So during this whole quota, I'm running up and down to the ITO, and every time I go there, ये blog बंद है क्योंकि किसको office में code हो गया. Hey, when do I get to meet this guy? So I was like, okay, this is that point where the kids can't come to me. I'm just paying rent on rent. I have to do all this stupid paperwork. I have to try and get rid of a fine that I didn't do anything wrong, or I go to jail. Like, it was getting crazy. And of course, there's pressure at home also because my mom's a teacher, so schools also they only opened up in 2022. So salaries had taken a hit. My dad has a small business of selling uniforms to schools. No school who's going to buy uniform. So he was as good as unemployed. So there's a lot happening. And
What kept you going then?
nothing. I couldn't go. That's what I'm saying. Like, eventually came to a standstill and we shut down. We closed up shop. I thought it'd be temporary, but it wasn't, because we were paying rent on rent, so we gave up the place. When you had to give the place, saman ka jayega, so we donated all the things. We had accumulated so many things over years, over 500, 600, maybe more books. We had our own library at home. So many computer, laptops, so many things. Everything we donated to on the child-based organization. And I shifted back home. Part of growing up with the kids also was like we had a lot of pots and plants, and we also had 4 dogs.
Yeah.
Because it is about growing together and being one with society. So all the plants went to my friend's place and all the dogs came to my place. So besides dealing with this whole difficult traumatic situation, I still didn't have the time and space to deal, to heal, to register, to process, because I still have to take care of the dogs. And my parents, who now are accustomed to living by themselves, because my younger brother went abroad for his masters and then just settled there. I be living with my kids since 2011. So now suddenly I'm back with 4 dogs. So that adjustment, and then they was going through their own shit. So it was a very tough time.
And that is your current situation also?
No. As I did not have time to like go through the whole rigmarole, because I was also pushing myself ki, okay, your parents are old, you live with something. And I had the 4 dogs, 2 male, 2 female. One went to a friend of mine, one boy. The other boy went with all of my older kids. Like, of all the children, these 2 were very, very close. So I asked him, can you keep him? And he said, happy. I couldn't give up my girls, so they're still with me. And then I did not know what to do, because suddenly I felt like, ab main kya karu? I never followed that path na ki pad lik ke ek qualify for about nothing. And then now what do I do? I suddenly felt so insecure and so incapable. Because that thought is there na ki I'm of this age. I don't want to start from scratch, like get a job as a fresher or something. Will my experience count? I'm just a graduate? Like, all these things were really pulling it out. But it's not like I was determined or like I was this. It was not that. It was just that I don't have an option. I have to do it because I don't have an option. So I started looking for jobs in the same sector. I did think of different sectors because there was now such a trauma with this field, this line of work, that I was not even sure if I get back to that field, will it be helpful to me or will it crush me more?
Yeah, counterproductive.
I couldn't figure it out. But logic played over that you don't know anything else, so might as well look in that field. I did try here and there. I thought I'd try events. I thought I'd try, I don't know, because my brain wasn't working. And I was always growing up little off-tangent. I was always a very jack of all trades, master of none kind of a thing. So growing up, I was into art, music, dance, theatre. In school, from the debating society to the editorial board to the music society, I was part of everything. And growing up, I'll come to this part later. It's a nice part. So now I'm like, what do I do? I'm good at so many things, but I'm not qualified in any. Is that good enough to get at least forget good paying? It's a decent paying job. But of course, while I'm struggling, there was a lot of support from friends who kept on trying to keep me afloat, not let me drown. My kids were a very strong support. They knew I was going through hell, and also by now the lockdown kind of lifted, so they would come over the weekends to stay with me. We would and they would just come and have a sleepover at my place. Sometimes 2 of them, sometimes 5 of them, and they would always be on the phone with me. In fact, that year when everything was shut down, nothing was happening, some of the older ones actually started taking classes for the younger ones because there was no school happening, and they were like, "Fir to bacche gaye."
That's
So
easy.
they started, and they started asking me, just how do you go about this? And I told them that, listen, I love what you're doing, and I know that it's happening as a knee-jerk reaction. So I'm just letting you know that if you are not able to continue, that's perfectly fine. If you want to stop now, it's perfectly fine. If you're doing this because of me, don't do it. Nahi, aur to isko to karenge, and this needs to be done. So they did it. It lasted for a few months. Wherever they had a little space in their juggi, they would appoint the children, they would teach them and try to keep that going. And so all these things were healing me bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. Fast forwarding a bit, in the year 2021, by August, I did get a job at this amazing organization called Project Defy, which is Bangalore based. There was an education center, but they defy education. Defy stands for, I think, design education for yourself. So it's against the whole schooling principle that ये जो system हमने बनाया है, it's just to create cogs and machines.
Yeah.
So let
It's a break free.
children or anyone learn what they want to learn and not be restricted by the system.
Yeah.
Somewhere we did align because I was doing something similar, very differently, in the sense that I was following the system, but also catering to what the system couldn't and letting children still, because
Like their own on the road.
so the system, follow the system, so at least you have a backup,
Yeah.
but try to build yourself.
Yeah. From the
These guys amazingly were trying to create form a system which was defying the system, and it works on the whole principle of giving them people a space and encouraging and orienting them to use technology and tools to teach themselves whatever they want to learn.
That's why I defied. Okay. But
A great place.
So you continue.
No, because I got a role as communications manager there. This is one thing people kept on pushing me. Oh, kind of communications, you're good at it, good at it. I'm like,
And
okay. In the NGO sector, you have many departments. One of them called program. I have programs there. What does program mean? It means the actual project that you're doing, the implementation of it, the planning, designing, implementation of the actual project, whatever it could be. It could be women empowerment, it could be working with children, it could be education, it could be livelihood, it could be skill development, it could be environment, but planning something that is solving a problem. So that's what I like to make. Can I do other things? Yes, I can. I was running an organization. I had to do other things. I did do social media. I did do networking. I did do fundraising. And during this whole COVID time, organizations were only looking for either a communications person or a fundraiser. Because everything is not online yet. So you need a strong IT team or communications team, and you need a strong fundraiser. And wherever I applied for jobs, they just tried to push me in either of those roles. I said one of the interviews, this guy was like, oh, I feel you'd be better in communications. I really want to say that after 12 years in this field, I think I know better what I'm good at.
Yeah. Don't tell me. You don't tell me.
Like, I am what you're saying, I'm better at this.
Yeah.
And I know what I want to do. That's also a factor here. Unless you want to do what you want to do. So
I can sense this and I relate with it.
So,
And now you will.
so then when I was at Defy, this is the time where I was like, okay, let's just try. Maybe I have a mental block. Maybe I'll enjoy it. So I did do a little online thing on, learn a little bit of Photoshop, this and that. With Defy, I was constantly doing the social media. And in 3 months, I knew that this is not what I want to do. And it was beautiful because I love the team. A very young, energetic team who were very open, diverse. ये जो dogmas होते हैं ना office systems के कि reporting time ये time ये वो ऐसा नहीं था. It was very flexible, very fluid. The people were not just creative, but they understood difficulties. You know, it was very open. And so I knew the people weren't a problem. I knew the organization was not a problem because they're doing fantastic work. I would love to be it. So I understood the problem is that it's a role that I don't want to say talk about what we're doing. I'm to do what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to showcase what we're doing. That's not, I can't. I mean, I can try it.
Yeah.
So, and I told them that very openly and they were so respectful of it. I mean, we're still in touch and that's the beauty of, I think, this generation of social workers, social entrepreneurs, that the old office has a sense of competition. I'm यहाँ पे काम करूँ तुम नहीं काम कर सकते. There's this rivalry. We are working for people.
Collaboration today. There's collaboration.
So joining and leaving the organization is not as, it's not like this cursed thing.
Yeah, it's
taboo thing.
okay, you move on. Okay. All the best to you.
Yeah. And even after that, like we got in touch because when I was still looking for things, they were still in touch that, have you found something? Do you need something? Do you need us to help? It's very nice. Very few organizations that they're out there like this. And I think they're growing, so it's great. After that, I was unemployed for almost 8 months. And this is again a huge transitional phase in my life because my family decided to demolish our building and reconstruct. Okay. Now, background that is that my parents have not been earning much because education, all three of us had education sector in different parts, and we're all like as in the lab, and there's for at least past 5-6 years there's been talks about demolished if I say we've been living here in this place since 1956. It was built up in 94-95 where so it's like Chacha, Papa, Tau, like that,
The entire.
And now because everyone has a car, there's no space to park, and other buildings came up, so old structure to abhi darar aa gayi hai, so okay. But kept on getting deferred because no, this saal meri beti ki shaadi hai, this saal meri beti ki shaadi hai, so all of us also work. So it kept on getting, and now COVID, nothing's happening, so let's do it now. And my family's like, yeah, fine, paise ka side here.
And this is a group effort by the entire family, not just all of them decided to do this.
Yeah. And hence it was also pressurizing because we weren't individually ready, but now everyone seems to be ready, so let's just take that leap. And my family's stubborn. Okay. They are creative.
Family is not that.
No, so that's what I mean, I love that they're creative. Yeah. They have this immunity in them, they are hardworking, but they're also stubborn. So, घर बनाना है, builder भी है, मतलब जो होता है, I don't know.
Contractor.
We'll not give to a builder. खुद बनाएंगे. ठीक है? Each of these brothers came out with their own design of what a house should look like, and they were all really good. One more aesthetic, one more functional, And then suddenly when you're getting the system, you realize that, there are new architectural laws, so you can't, every bedroom needs to have a balcony facing out, every bedroom should have a window. If it's a this height building, it has to have a lift. The kitchen has to be, information dala. Oh great, there's only one design possible, which is none of them. It's none of these designs, it's just one design which is done in every house again.
And that being done fast.
All they can do is either make the house like this or like this.
And you're watching all this as a spectator, were you part of it?
Oh no, none of these kids were. Because if we tried to, stubbornness take to pure parivar mein, and with age it just gets worse. So, हम dadas like, हम तुम्हारे लिए कर रहे, तुम्हारे लिए घर बना रहे हैं, कि तुम तो कुछ कर नहीं सकते, तू कर हम बना रहे, हम if you want to contribute, put money first, then give your decision. First you say it's for us, then you say don't give your ideas. मतलब चाहते क्या हो? When you don't do something, you're not helping the house. We try to help, you're like, just listen to what we...
As a Murphy, and let me just, I'm sorry, but I just want to move now to, I mean, just because of the single of time, I want to now move from, we know COVID, we understood COVID, and I'm going by what you're only talking about, the parents' bit. I want to take from there only. But just bringing your attention to the final section of the thing for which I have brought you here. I believe that Murphy is one of, which you have heard now, that he is one of the most weathered human, I would say, human beings, in terms of having gone through some experiences in life which most of us will not even touch. We won't even touch them. We just go past them and they'll just be like on the outlines or outside of us. And I'm not just talking about being, good for others. I'm talking about having dedicated a good part of your life to so many, I would still call them challenges because they're tough for me, but your own challenges as well. Therefore, I find you to be somebody, and you're not in your 20s, who's like, job abhi nikle hain, hoga, lekin experience nahi hai kuch life mein. I feel that you are one person I feel can give a little bit of authoritative opinions on a few things, which is why Murphy, you are my 25th. That is why you're here. And I need to tell this to everybody that, and I will take a little liberty here because I have been running Voice of Silence and it is my 25th episode. I wanted it to end the first season with somebody who talks a lot of sense and not out of books or having seen it vicariously, but actually having lived it. Therefore, he is a person I feel, and he's not, nothing against old people, but he is relevant to today's time. Therefore, 3-4 things I would just like to know your opinion on, and then we will end. So, a couple of things we've understood, of course, your take on underprivileged humans, we've understood that completely. I would like to know a little bit about gender bias that exists in the world, sexuality, animals, and anything you want to say about parents, and anything above that, I mean beyond that. But these 4 topics for sure, because you must have seen it firsthand. All of these things, because you raised kids, 60 kids. So you must have seen all this, you've seen all of it. We can begin with the gender bias maybe. What is your take? And we will keep it a little brief, but exactly what you want to say. Like, almost think like this is like a chit chat happening. What are your views? First of all, do you agree there is gender bias?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what are your views on it? What do you feel about it?
The reason I'm taking time to try to put things together is because till now, gender bias and gender fights with just male versus female, without realizing there's so many more out there.
Yes.
There are NGOs based on women empowerment because they were seen as the weaker sex or the one that needs upliftment, completely even ignoring or acknowledging the fact that other genders that live and exist and are not even acknowledged, मतलब मानते नहीं कि जिंदा. So when you see from that perspective, I don't know what to say concrete about gender biasness, just that it is there. That is there, and it plays a part in every single thing about us also. How we look, how we talk, how we react, behave and act. I'll try to stitch these together. Like, we had boys and girls coming, but only of course boys were allowed to stay. Mixed. We understand. The good thing was that girls being there, like inside the center, the boys and girls grew up in that sense of being eye to eye.
Yeah.
Where in the slums, there was a clear demarcation of how boys are and how girls are. Because after a certain age, the girls will be tied at home with the household chores and the boys just spot free. And माँ से बात करो तो they're like, लड़की सुनते नहीं है, अपनी नहीं करते. There's a reason why the girls listen boys to. It's not because they're boys and girls, it's because the way you raise them.
Yes.
Exactly. And we see that playing in every aspect of our lives.
Yes,
There's a difference in how a human perceives the world. It's based on how they are raised. It's based on how they emote, their IQ, their EQ, what makes them who they are. But when the society starts grooming and conditioning us to be a certain way, where boys are not allowed to be sensitive and expressive and emotional, where girls are not encouraged to be dominating or, for lack of a better word, aggressive, you know. And then it plays down to how we are and our clothes, right? I've had such flack for wearing these earrings. Tell. I first got a piercing in college time, but of course, as long as it's part of the trend, right? You can still kind of escape. You can escape.
Yeah.
My parents didn't like it, so I had a piercing here. I think maybe the year 2006 or 7, and I got this pierced this year. Like, that's the gap. Just because of the fear of how my parents will react. And even I got it done. I personally also, I like silver and just those simple round ones. I'm not much into anything exquisite. I wouldn't say two, it's just that's a taste of that. I like simple. So I would just wear simple ring, which I changed to these how you see Rajasthanis wear really thick ones. I like the look of being like that whole slightly rural look. It was nice.
The tribe.
The tribe, exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah.
Till a friend of mine gifted me this. It was simple, delicate, and not in your face. I liked it. I knew that it's going to not just create ripples but tsunamis in my house.
Which it did?
It did, of course it did. Like, hello. But, and here I'd like to quote a friend of mine. We are, a lot of us into astrology just for fun of it. And she was telling me, based on some things, that you are the kind of person who will always, like, you put yourself first, and or you something else. You put yourself first and then get the world. And I was like, no, I mean, I have not kind of done that. I always, because I'm a pack animal and I know my strength comes from being with people. Then she said, then that is your purpose. That if you haven't been that till now, then your purpose is to now unapologetically be yourself and not care about what the world thinks. That kind of made sense, because this whole transition of whatever I was going through. I mean, first I was a child, now suddenly I'm a parent, kind of a figure, and now I am a founder. I'm supposed to have a certain image. I remember when I became a social worker, my dad kind of adjusted to. He's like, look at you the way you dress. I mean, social workers don't. What do you want me to do? Like, wear a white kurta, put a 2B pencil in my pocket and carry it. What do you want me to look like? If I ever went out with my friends for a party or out of a night out, like, oh, you know what you're doing, and they're not, they're not related.
They are not. Yeah.
I have a life.
Thank you.
So
these seats.
It's like when you're a role, you're supposed to look a certain way. It took forever for my mom to get her hair short, because of a notion of what a woman should look like. So what's a fun which plays deep into psyche. So it took me a long while to break that, but now I don't care. Not because I don't care about people, because I care enough for people to start being the way they want
themselves. Yes.
And someone has to do it.
Yes.
Right.
I agree.
So here it comes to the gender bias, where even men cannot look how they want to look. We have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And now look at the time was happening with every stage of the generations that are passing by. The whole notion of roles are changing. We are just going through a case where same-sex marriages are being fought for the realization of that. Yeah,
as we speak.
And before that, it was about just having human rights, right? So these are important. But what does it say? It says that we as a race are moving forward and fast. It's about time we open up to the fact that there are more genders out there.
Yes.
And that each of those genders need not have an assigned sexuality.
Yeah.
It is their choice.
And if they change,
and that's
don't hold them to it.
Yeah.
But you were this yesterday. It's their choice.
It's just like how yesterday I was this height and today I'm this height.
Exactly. You can't. And be sensitive about it.
Yeah. It's like cursing me for growing white hair. Are they, yaar?
Yes, so I mean, I think all that matters is how are we treating each other with kindness or no, and doing our own job, and that's it.
And I literally, when I look back, no, I feel like we're going around in full circle. When I look at the way humans are evolving, growing, and changing, I think I would like to believe that when civilization started, however it was, there was no notion of sexuality and anything or partners. Marriage is a very recent concept.
Marriage is a
Societal built, whatever.
suppression.
And in fact, anyone who's read the book Sapiens,
Yeah. That's what influenced you. That's why
we understand that it was a matriarchal society for a simple reason that the mother knew who her child was, the father did not.
Yeah.
So the male would see every child as
Has his
the
own. Exactly.
and they just took the roles of protectors,
Sectors.
and the mothers were role nurturers, because they could identify what came on their bodies and low. So it was like that, which changed with time. But I also believe that this whole aspect of partners, there was this case in the court also about monogamy versus and what is criminalized and not. Like not being monogamous can be grounds for divorce, but not for being jailed, because it's not a crime. It's part of human nature, that society. And so we see how society can actually influence people, that from being this very open, diverse creature who can sleep with anyone and everyone, we have convinced ourselves that this is how we're supposed to be. But you know what? It's innate in us. It is going to come out, and that's what's happening. It was a struggle earlier to identify or accept homosexuals. Guess what? There are bis and pans and trans out there.
How many? All types.
And they say it's a notion of an elitist society. But no, it's just that they got to raise their voices first.
Yes.
Here, now, and it's just about making that change, right? When I started, I always want to do something, but I was too scared because I like waiting for people. Till someone said, do when people will come. If you wait for people, keep waiting. Same
That
here.
was the quote for you that I began with. The change.
The change. And same here. Because now people are coming out and talking about themselves and how it is affecting them and how they would like to live. It's causing a place for people who can identify to also have the courage to come out.
Yes.
And it's not a newfound thing. It's not a disease that's spreading. It was always there.
Yes.
And so my only opinion on it is that live and let live. If you cannot digest or understand something that's new to you, that's a change, then that's reason for you to start unlearning, and not reason for you to start dominating and controlling. Life is about change. If, like I was talking about challenges earlier, challenges for each of us is different. What you can handle beautifully, maybe I struggle with. And I think that's how we are created, that there's something that's strong in us, something is not, and what's not strong in us is what we're supposed to work on with experiences. And life will bring us those experiences to teach you those that you need, that you don't have. And the ones that you already have, you will, you can, then there are things.
Fine tune.
So,
Help others.
similarly, these aspects, like what's out there in the world, if there's a person who looks like a guy, but identifies as a woman, but can be in a physical and romantic relationship with either or any, that is who they are.
Yeah.
And it feels wrong because of the way we've been raised. But if you know that person from before, are you going to judge them on whom you now know them to be as this whatever categories? Or are you going to judge them or understand them on basis of what you have known them for all these years? What takes priority?
Yes.
Yes, बचपन से कहते हैं कि मतलब stay away from bad people, because we will pick up bad habits. So we were taught that people who have bad habits, like for example smoking, people who drink and smoke are bad people. And I entered college and I found the greatest people in the world who smoke and drank.
See?
And so that notion that bad habits don't make bad people.
Yes, your actions and who you are not the same.
In fact, let's stay on bad habits, unhealthy habits, but don't make bad people. Right? So, just because you think or you've been taught that not being how you're supposed to be, if you're a guy, you're supposed to be macho and strong and dominating and have a beard. Good Lord, shaving was such a crime, I tell you. And get married to a woman and have children and all that jazz. I mean, have you forgotten the years and the time that you spent with this person? Understanding them. I mean, if you know this person so well that before they can say something to a situation, you know how they're going to react. Don't we have that with our friends? Don't we have that with our family?
Family.
Yeah, yes, usko gussa aayega, ya usko boss. Like, you know that. That's how people know that person. Suddenly that goes down the drain.
Because rules come over, sensitivity goes.
So what are you choosing to prioritize?
Yeah.
And if even then you're accepting because you have to accept, oh, I'm only doing this because I love you, then you're kidding yourself.
That's a line.
If you're going to use that as a tool or as a means,
Yeah.
okay, if it's going to help you come to that point where you ought to be,
That means.
but don't use it as a weapon. So gender bias is here, but it's more than we think. With terms of sexuality,
I think it's pretty much the same.
it's the same.
Yeah.
And it's the same, if we're talking about how the generation is progressing, it's the same we see with for example, you have a generation that does not want to marry, hence whole living relationships are taking the whole thing. You have a generation that does not want to have kids.
Yeah.
There's nothing biologically wrong with them, it is a choice.
Yeah.
What about, how will the future survive? There's so many out there who don't have parents.
That was our first episode. By the way, that was our first episode.
You want to raise children, there are plenty who need it.
Yes.
You don't have to add the numbers.
It's again conditioning.
It's conditioning. So,
Totally
okay,
got it.
this is actually it's a deeper thing because every living being is programmed to procreate. Every living being. And that is why we have a prime where we are the most attractive. And the moment we procreate, we start withering away. Okay. It's nature. It's animals. It's
everywhere. It's plants. It's everywhere.
However, we are the only ones cursed with the power of choice.
And thought and our actions. Yes. And intent.
And so,
And we
let's
therefore
use it for as well
Yes.
and as good a way as possible. Or if you're just chosen to be animals, that you move, you eat, you procreate, you attack, you die. Okay.
Khatam.
But if you've chosen to now suddenly take over the world, and let's choose, I wouldn't say right or wrong, but
That's a blur.
let's just choose what does not hurt or harm
Many.
others. Intentionally, at least. If you being yourself or advocating something hurts someone's sentiments, that's not your fault. That's their problem.
Yes. And that is, this was very beautifully encapsulated in a book that I read. I'm forgetting, but they're two Japanese authors, The Courage to be Dismayed. That encapsulates what you just said. That when you are dealing with the best intention, again, not good or bad, you always know. If you ask yourself deep enough, if you're so blinded by and surrounded with sound and noise all the time, then you're lost. Then you're that animal that you're speaking about. Then you're just like living.
But just to add to that, like this no part is also very, very influenced by
Yeah, that's what I'm
conditioning.
saying. That's what I'm saying. So keep
our parents,
asking.
for example,
Keep asking. Is
they
it
might
conditioning
be
or what?
like doing something which hurts us because deep in their hearts they feel it's the right thing.
I know.
That's good for us.
Yes.
But it's not, they're not doing it because they want to hurt us. They're not doing it out of spite. That can also happen as a human afterward. But their initial intent is because they feel it's the
Best thing to do.
that they're protecting you, that they're taking care of you. They're doing the best that they can. It's just that that's what they know.
Okay.
And it's limiting.
Absolutely agreed. What I was saying is just to keep breaking it, but okay.
Yeah.
But why? But then why? Is it conditioning?
Yeah.
Or
See, that questioning ability, not everyone has.
Not everyone. I agree.
It's generational.
Yes, it is.
Like, if I do a quick analysis, like our parents, I would say, came from a generation where they were one of many. एक के पास है भाई बहन होते थे. You were not treated any different. You had to, really like prove yourself. And so you see what's common in that generation. They were married to the same person no matter what the difficulties. They were married to the same job no matter what the atrocities. Loyalty was a very strong factor there.
And commitment. Nibhana.
Fast forward, every one of us has that, ki, I will not do this to my children. What happened to me? So what does that lead to? Us having fewer children and treating them like they are the world. What does that lead to? A generation of people who believe that they are the center of the universe.
Entitlement.
Entitlement. it also leads to problems of purpose. Our parents or grandparents did not believe that they had a purpose in life. They believed that they had a role to play like everyone else. बड़ो नौकरी करो, कमाओ, शादी करो, बच्चे करो, बात करो. A role that they have to play, and they believed in that. That was their purpose. We were raised to believe that there's more to life,
Yeah.
which is also a falsity, by the way.
Yes, it is.
It is just a notion.
Yeah.
So every generation notions are changing.
Absolutely.
And so it has real life repercussions, like one, choosing not to marry, or B, choosing not to have children, or choosing to see your dogs as your children. This notion, the older generation do not have, but then dogs are, dog, got out, beware of dogs. I'd rather put up a posting, beware of me. You know, I mean, I have pit bulls, mixes, and one rescued, one adopted. The third one was out of a very complicated situation, and all females. And please come and meet them to see that they are not these ferocious beings who will pull you apart. Okay, if they ever fight, they fight with each other because over who's going to get my attention more. With people, this is love. Okay, and they are, even dogs evolve and change as per how you
Yeah.
raise them. I won't say train them, I'll say raise them. Okay, so my dad be like, "Are ye bachke ko khila de?" I'm like, "They're not street dogs. Feed them. You will be cleaning the diarrhea." But they are dogs. Yes, just like how people on the streets can eat things that you can't.
Yeah.
So you want to feed them some scrap, eat what they're eating outside, and let's see the difference. मतलब बोलना पड़ता है to make them understand that just because they're a dog doesn't mean that
कुछ भी.
it's about how they're raised. You know, understanding what their likes are. One of my dogs does not like eating fruits. The other one will solve the whole thing whole.
But therefore, yeah, that in that case, it'll take a while.
It take a while, but the fact is that these, so they're not just,
Parents
they're not just bigger.
praise, praise the dog.
And that's the point, that the changes are not just big like sexuality and gender. It's even small, like creating an identity of yourself. Am I a parent? Yes, I am. You're my children. They'll always be children. That's the best part of dogs. I know. And if I'm working today, okay, like pehle I didn't care what I was earning. I was living in my community. Now I don't have my community anymore. Living with me. We are still in touch. We still meet. We still are in a strong part of our lives. But now my living conditions are different. I'm back home with my parents. Oh my God. And I'm also back home with my kids, my 3 dogs. And a lot of now if I have that thing of comfort or having that space or whatever, or having that financial stability, it's for both my aging parents who really needed at some point in time, and for my
Children, yeah, which are in this case dogs.
yeah. And this battle at home that a lot of us face of being a pet parent versus a pet owner, and then how a pet should be treated, is so all of these reflect to back to what? It just reflects back to the conditioning of our mind by the society, by our immediate community, which is family, friends, school, college, whatever,
And individual.
and ourselves.
Individual.
Because we have only one role to play here, which is to choose to think and question ourselves,
At every moment, as much as possible.
and question to find an answer, not question to doubt. If
Yeah, there's a
you're
massive.
going to constantly self-doubt yourself and you think that's questioning yourself, then you're just going to push yourself down.
I've in that.
But if you're going to question yourself just so that you can understand why you reacted a certain way,
And learn from there, that's a different ballgame altogether. But I've been able to set it out to Zoom for the longest time. But I think with that, we will wrap up. Thank you so much. Any one last sentence that you want to say? And this is the longest. Longest. It's probably gone to up to 2 hours, I think. 1 hour? So, yeah, usually I just couldn't take it off. Like, completely one and just not. That's why. That is the reason. One last message or your voice of silence for everybody that's listening, and that's the time we wrap. Whatever you want to say, a sentence, a paragraph, anything, then we'll wrap. What would you like to say as Murphy, what your name is, but I'm talking more to the individual that you are.
and let me try this. I think we all need to just allow ourselves to let go, to forgive ourselves, We all are human, we'll make mistakes. Own it, accept it, learn from it. That's how we go. And we've all been told Kiti Bana that be the change you want to see and stuff like that. And a lot of us have done that in our own lives, in community. We all try to be the change. And I feel that there's something missing in that. That don't just be the change you want to see, but also accept the changes around you. Because we get so focused on trying to be the change that we tend to not let others who are changing around us do the same.
Yeah.
And because we are like kind of say skyrocketing or going like really sailing through being that change, that we force ourselves to accept the changes. So if you really want change to be here in this society, you not only have to be it, but you also have to be open to it.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Orfi, thank you. That's it. So that's a wrap.